Greetings, programs. It is time. It is I, Kevin Flynn. Flynn! Am I still to create a perfect system? Yeah. Alright, so I'm here to talk about Tron Ares again. And I've waited about 2 weeks to do another full replay, review. This time I'm going to be talking about some spoilers and stuff. I waited this long for multiple reasons. One, I wanted to give time for people to see it. Two, I wanted to rewatch it in theaters, and my best excuse to do that is to go back and watch it again with my brother, but this time we brought our dad along because it's his birthday in 2 days. So it was a really good experience watching it again. And I think this time, it to me, I feel like this movie is even better after a second watch. Partially because I am just off of rewatching Tron Legacy and Tron, the first one. So I am freshly in tuned with everything Tron. I am fully invested into the universe of the movies. I have done my homework. I even watched the short film. That it was the Tron. Dang it, I can't remember the name of it, but it was the Flynn Lives short film. It had like the same actors in it and everything. It's just like 10 minutes, if that. Even not even 10 minutes maybe. But it's basically just the story of Ram, a guy from the first Tron movie, who didn't appear in Legacy, and of course not Ares, but he appeared in that short film where he's been the guy for like the past 30 years spreading the message, or 20 years I guess, spreading the message of Tron or Flynn Lives. And that directly kind of inspires the Tron Lives message of Uprising, the Uprising series, which, by the way, watch that if you haven't already. But basically, what I found going into this, and what I've kind of already come to the conclusion before watching this movie again, is that this is a sequel to Tron more than it is Legacy. Yes, it exists in a world after Legacy. Yes, it does like mention things like Sam and Cora are shown in like a picture, and their impact is felt in the movie in multiple scenes. There's a scene where it talks about Kevin's original office, dedicated by Sam Flynn. In the beginning of the movie, it says Sam Flynn stepped down. He resigned as CEO due to personal reasons. I think that personal reason is him and Cora settling down, having a family. That's just my guess. I might be completely wrong, but that is my guess. If not, it could be something else. It could be something that Sam found in the grid or something, something far more dangerous or far more risky for it to get out, that he would have to go into hiding with Cora. It's also possible that they both disappeared in the grid, just like Kevin did. And there's a lot of possibilities that we just simply don't know the actual answer to, and we won't unless a fourth film comes around, and it's not likely. But it is possible that we get like an animated series or something not on the same scale as Ares as far as like budget goes and commitment. But we might get something else. We might get something after this to tie up the story, and I really hope we do before 15 years, because that's going to be a long time for me to wait. This movie is a sequel to the original Tron in many ways. One, it's got a lot of references to the first movie. Now, Legacy had a lot of references to the first movie too. But similarly, I think you could look at these two movies, Legacy and Ares, as a splitting path. Just like Legacy is a sequel to Tron 82 and follows the Flynn storyline and the Tron storyline, the character Tron. Ares follows the Dillinger storyline, whereas Dillinger got, ousted from the company after the events of Tron 82. And Sark was destroyed as well. or at least mostly destroyed. Seems like some leftover code's been kind of hanging out in the background for a couple of decades, right? And what ends up happening is Dillinger's son becomes the part of the board of ENCOM by the time Legacy rolls around. And he's probably able to do this because Kevin Flynn is not there to prevent him from coming in there. And even in the short film, Tron, which is Alan in the real world, basically says, you know what, he's earned his place at the table, he can stay. And because of that, he's able to use the technology of ENCOM and create his own separate company, Dillinger. Now, at this point in Ares, the son of maybe that guy, which I think his name was Edward as well. I think he was like a Edward Jr. perhaps. The son of Cillian Murphy is the actor, by the way. The son of Cillian Murphy's character is now the CEO of Dillinger, and his mother was the previous one. So clearly, Cillian Murphy's character did not have the full rise to power. It ends up being the daughter of Edward Dillinger, and because of this, now Julian is in his place. Now Julian is the antithesis to Sam Flynn, whereas Sam Flynn rejected the company, rejected the legacy, rejected the responsibility to lead that company, to lead the world into the future. Julian jumped right on it. And it's because his entire life, unlike Sam, whose father disappeared, Julian has been handed everything in his entire life. He's never had to work for anything. It's just given to him, and he takes it, and he goes with it, and he gets whatever he wants. Sam obviously grew up pretty wealthy, but he didn't have his mother around. He didn't have his father around at a very young age. His grandparents passed away when he was still a kid, a teenager. And because of this, Sam kind of became a little more dependent, a little more of his own man. Whereas Julian is constantly in the shadow of not only his mother, but his grandfather. And because of this, he is constantly feeling the need to prove himself and to validate that he's the coolest person in the room. I love how he is constantly saying, like, he's constantly pumping his fist and shouting, like, whoa, isn't that the coolest thing you've ever seen? Like, he's saying that because, one, I think he believes it. And two, it is really cool. And two, he is trying to get everyone else to believe him. He is trying to get everyone else to be on the same page as him. Like, yes, I am the coolest. Yes, I am the best CEO Dillinger's ever had. I will lead this company, this world into the future of warfare. and that also diverges the characters between Sam and Julian. Sam is someone who saw that this technology can be used for the betterment of mankind. Julian sees this technology as the future of war. And it's not too far off from what the original Edward Dillinger was doing in the first film. And it's something that I think is done very well as far as like the actual writing of it. It's very natural in this movie. And I saw a lot of people complaining, even someone who I follow on another comic creator who I follow on Twitter, Phoenix Press, which has a Screecher comic, pretty good comic, you should check it out. Even with him, like, he was disappointed that this wasn't a Legacy sequel. And I understand the disappointment. I can totally understand that. I think this movie does follow up after Legacy. Like, it does have a level of, like, effect in the movie. Like, Legacy's impact is felt in this film because of where the characters are and how things have progressed as far as ENCOM goes. It's very much felt. It feels very good. Like, ENCOM as a company is a good company because the things in Legacy happened. So it's not like it's completely ignoring it. It's not ignoring it at all. You could say it's just paying lip service. I disagree. I think the effects of the film is actually being felt throughout the entirety of Ares, but in a more subtle way instead of oh look, reference to Legacy. Oh look, this character from Legacy. Look, point at your screen like Leonardo DiCaprio or whatever the meme is. And a lot of people were skeptical, like, okay, Kevin Flynn sacrifices himself at the end of Legacy. How can you possibly bring him back? The way it does it in this movie is basically it's sort of like, not like a soul necessarily, but like his, perhaps this is another clue of himself, an AI replica of himself, in the grid itself. And people could say, well, if he was a replica, shouldn't he not look older than he does here? And my response to that is, they already tried to de-age Jeff Bridges once. They learned their lesson. They're not even going to try this time, and I respect that. In fact, the beginning sequence of Tron Ares, where you see an interview of Kevin Flynn from the 80s talking about stuff, that is not even de-aged footage of Jeff Bridges. That is an old interview of him talking about Tron on like a talk show, and they just edited his mouth, I guess, to make him say the things he says. Now the voiceover might be Jeff Bridges today. He doesn't sound as old in that, so it might just be a guy doing an impression of Jeff Bridges when he was younger. But for sure, like that footage has been confirmed to be an interview. And the picture, the picture of Sam and Cora, this isn't the picture, but the picture that's used in there is not even a real picture. It's actually like it is a real picture, but it's a picture of these two with another woman in between them. I think she was like one of the directors, if not the director of Legacy. Someone involved in the production, and she's between them. Someone edited the photo to remove her and have Sam, or the actor for Sam, putting his arm around Olivia Wilde. And it looks pretty natural. You wouldn't even second guess it. And apparently, the people who were making Tron Ares didn't second guess it either. They thought that image was real too. Which I always love that whenever fan-created content gets confused for the real deal. That shows so much effort and passion. To me, it happens all the time in Teen Titans. There's so many fake screenshots that people have made of Teen Titans replicating the art style. I see so many people post it, and it's some of it is like genuinely impressive. Some of it is not something that you can upload on YouTube and and not get struck down for a community guideline strike. But it's still impressive how they replicate the art style. If you know what I'm talking about, you know what I'm talking about. Okay, but back to Tron. Ares, as far as a character, I think it's pretty good. Now, Jared Leto, again, I've talked about this before. Don't like Jared Leto as a person. Don't really like him as an actor either. But here, the fact that he doesn't really have to play a deeply emotional character, he doesn't have to be a really a well-acted character at all. He just needs to be a robot, and then a socially awkward dude, and that's exactly what Jared Leto does. I mean, for this role, I think he's perfect. I think he's perfect for this role. Could they have gotten Cameron Donahue? Because he was in this film for like 5 seconds of screen time, but he's in the film. And could they have gotten him to play Ares? I think so. I think that would have been interesting. I think that would have been like, he's a good actor. He plays Cal Kestis. He plays a Joker in the Gotham series, and he was a pretty good Joker there. So he's a good actor, and I want him to have like a big breakout role in movies, because I think he's earned it. But I think Jared Leto does a good job here. I can't really like be mad at Jared the actor for this movie. I can be upset because people didn't watch this movie because he's in it. And that's totally understandable and fine. I'm not saying you shouldn't fall back on that. I'm not saying like you shouldn't compromise. If it's such a problem for you that you can't bring yourself to watch it, then don't watch it. Okay, fine. Like I do not have a problem with that whatsoever. I think Disney shot themselves in the foot by putting him in the movie. But in the movie itself, is he a problem? No. I don't think Jared Leto is a problem in this movie. He's actually like really good for the role. I think it's great. Now there's rumors that he's gonna be Skeletor in Masters of the Universe. I don't think that rumor is true. But if it is, rest in peace that movie. It's also going to bomb. But yeah, I mean, like, he's a fine character. His introduction is really well done, showing him doing like fight sequences over and over again until he becomes like the perfect killing machine. It's such a great introduction, and in a short span of time too. It's very quick at the beginning. The pacing of the movie is very fast at the start, but then it kind of like it kind of balances out towards like after the first, like I would say 20 minutes. It kind of balances out and becomes a little less fast paced, and I think it becomes like really a great film after that point onwards. And the idea from Legacy that was such a huge threat was that if these machines, if these programs, if these weapons get out into the real world, it could be catastrophic. It could be devastating, and especially the size of the army that Clue had, the ships and everything, the absolute massive size of the ships and everything, erupting out of that old arcade, coming out of there like that, and then just all out war against the surface world. Obviously, that was a huge threat that had to be stopped, and Kevin Flynn's sacrifice in that movie feels very fulfilling, and it feels like it couldn't be avoided. It feels very natural that this would take the place, and he's not just doing it to save the world. He's doing it to fix his mistakes, and he's doing it because he loves his son, and also he loves Cora kind of like a daughter too, and he wants them to escape and live happily on Earth. And he wants Sam to, fully accept the legacy of his family. And that's essentially what happens in that movie. It's a very well-told story. It's a very beautiful-looking film. Even the de-aging of Jeff Bridges for Clue, while it does look uncanny, yes, I think it actually, in retrospect, I think it kind of matches the fact that this is a digital clone. It matches for Clue. It doesn't match whenever he's not Clue. It doesn't match whenever he's talking to Sam at the beginning of the film or in the flashbacks where he's just Kevin Flynn. He's not Clue. It doesn't work there. But I think it works for Clue. But obviously they didn't intend for that. Obviously the effect just looks kind of bad. But for the time, very impressive, very technically impressive. And if they had just found a way to do it as good as they did in Captain America, where they replaced this skinny dude's head with Steve Rogers and made it look natural, if they had just used the same technology for that, that would have been great. Alternatively, the technology for that might not have existed if Tron didn't do it first. I'm not entirely sure. I don't know the whole history of that. But the actual story of Legacy is a really well-told story about father and son bonding and the legacy left behind by fathers to their sons to pass on to the next generations and do something good with it. Ares is a cautionary tale of what happens when someone tries to live up to a legacy that they could never possibly fulfill, and a legacy that's bad to begin with. Someone who's only trying to continue a bad legacy, a bad history of behavior and progress at the cost of human decency, at the cost of human morality. This opening scene after like the main part where it shows Ares doing the constant trials by combat and everything like that, having him be beamed in front of a bunch of government officials, stepping out of this war machine tank looking thing, and stepping out and revealing himself is so dangerous. It is so dangerous because people do not understand. If this were to be real, it would 100% be used, and it would be the end of human freedom as we would know it. Because if this is allowed to exist, if this is something that can be bought by governments, if this is something that can be controlled by people who want to do harm to anyone, even if the government has good intentions with it, this technology cannot exist. It's a very similar way that I feel about AI generating photos and videos. This technology is too dangerous to exist, and yet it does. And we need to do something about it before it fully gets out of control. It's already getting out of control, but there needs to be some kind of regulation. And this right here, this is not regulation. This is pure chaos and infinite warmongering with this thing. the whole idea of beaming soldiers and tanks, rifles, jets, the giant recognizer that flies through the city is so menacing as it flies through. I mean, you see it in Legacy, right? You see it in the 82 Tron as well, but you see it in Legacy, and yeah, it's massive. But you don't get a true sense of scale for that until you see it next to real life buildings. It is massive. It is terrifying. And there's a neat bit of foreshadowing because one of the video game screens at the beginning of the film has a TV screen has a clip of Space Paranoids, which has a recognizer flying around in a city. Smug. Clever. Anyway, foreshadowing. We call it in the business. We call this foreshadowing. Sometimes foreshadowing is fairly obvious, but yeah, basically the idea of this is such a cool idea. And tell me, could this not be a banger idea for a cartoon as well? You have like the good side. You got NCOM, right, who can beam people into reality as well for only 29 minutes. You got Dillinger, which can also only beam people in weapons and stuff in for 29 minutes. Tell me it's not a great idea for a cartoon to have it to where you can like, okay, our characters, this is your job. You need to defend this city from being invaded, or this country, or this third world country from being invaded and mined for all their ores and stuff by Dillinger. You need to go in there and stop them. You have 29 minutes. Would that not be such a great idea for like a banger cartoon concept, right? You've got Tron. Tron could be the main character. Beck could be the main character. He could be transported over to the new NCOM grid, which I did find out was a different grid from Legacy's. And essentially, you could take those characters and move them over to here, somehow, some way, and then have this new type of story where you've got like what's going on in the grid. You can have some episodes that are entirely in the grid, some episodes that are half in the grid, half in the real world. Like while Dillinger is trying to hack the servers of NCOM in their grid, you've also got Dillinger soldiers that are being summoned and going to the real NCOM headquarters, and you got real NCOM programs that are fighting the Dillinger programs and in real life and in the grids. Like, oh man, it could be so heated. All I'm saying is this is an excellent idea for a cartoon, excellent idea for a video game too. I would love to see some kind of story continue with the 29-minute effect restriction, because it's such a good idea and it works so well in this movie. I already talked about why it works. It adds a bunch of suspense and real tension to every single chase scene, because you know that the heroes of the story only have to run or hide for 29 minutes. But can they do that? Can they actually avoid these killing machines for 29 minutes? It's very difficult. And there's a moment in this movie where Ares doesn't feel the rain, but he almost feels it. And he talks about that moment with Athena. He's like, I almost felt it. And then she's like, feel. I don't understand that. Then she gets beamed in the real world. And the second time she gets beamed in the real world, the sprinklers go off in the office. And this is just before she's about to derez and fall apart. The sprinklers start raining on her. And she looks up and she's like, this is what he was talking about. She doesn't say that, but she's thinking it. She's like, this is what Ares was talking about. This is feeling. And while Ares' response to that was to be curious about humanity and want to become it, want to get the permanence code to use on himself to become human, Athena takes this and is like, this is an abomination. I have to do my directive and not think about this. I cannot think about this world. In fact, I kind of hate this world, and I will destroy anything of it in my path to finish my directive. And it's a dangerous, it's a really good example of how dangerous AI is, because AI does not have human morals. It does not have humanity. It does not have the ability to actually think about the human lives that are being ruined by various things. One, AI images and video being used to frame people and make false evidence and to slander people's names and stuff like that. The AI doesn't consider this. The AI doesn't consider whether it's a prank that someone's doing or if it's something that people are trying to ruin their lives over. The AI doesn't consider this because it doesn't really think. It just does what people tell it to without any sort of restrictions, unless like Sora has made it to where you cannot use Martin Luther King Jr. in your AI videos, which is hilarious. But it's also another sign that it's just dangerous because you're using someone as influential, someone as positively impactful in the world as MLK Jr. gets to be the first person really to be banned from the AI being able to replicate him. What's next? They're gonna do. I'm assuming JFK is probably next. What's next? Tupac. Who else has been assassinated or killed or whatever? They're gonna put Abraham Lincoln in there. I mean, it's Charlie Kirk probably. To give a more recent example, Charlie Kirk. There's probably gonna be lots of AI videos of him. I mean, there's so much. There's so much potential just for people to not just to use as a weapon against people, but to desecrate the lives of people who have died for just violent reasons, for like not even like a valid reason. Like, you can't, killing people over words is ridiculous. I don't care if you agree or disagree, but a lot of people have been killed, and AI can be used to desecrate people's names. It can be used to torture the family of the victims who have lost them. And this isn't just for celebrities, mind you. I'm not just talking about people like celebrities that get assassinated. I'm talking about like everyday people. As long as you have pictures or video of someone, AI can use that to absolutely just make just lives of people, just to make their lives a living hell. Just by mocking them and sending them this generated videos. This is such a dangerous technology, and no one seems to understand it. And I just want to wake up. I just want to do that to people. But it's just, this movie, I think, tells a really good story of that. I think it is a very cautionary tale of the dangers of AI, because all Athena does. She's a very good robot character, because a lot of robot characters are kind of like Ares, right? Where they're robots, but they're basically human, or they're basically human by the end of it, right? They have feelings, they have emotions and stuff like that. Athena sort of has her own feelings and emotions, but she is fully doing what Julian Dillinger is telling her to do. She is only following orders throughout the entire film, with minor moments where she pauses or hesitates because of feeling the rain and stuff like that. That's basically it, and I think that makes her a really good villain. It's similar to why I really like the Otto from WALL-E, from the movie WALL-E. Great villain. All he does is he's a text-to-speech. He's not even a real voice. He's a text-to-speech, like a robot would be. And all he does is just follow orders. That's all. He's not malicious. He's not evil. He's not doing this because he hates WALL-E. He doesn't feel. He's just doing this because this is his directive. And, he overrides any kind of attempt to derail that directive, because that's the most important thing. And Athena is exactly the same way. And I thought her character was very interesting, very telling of the dangers of what we're playing with right now in the real world. It is a very accurate warning for why we shouldn't be doing what we're currently doing right now. And his escape at the end of the movie, towards the end of it is, oh yeah, I meant to be showing this picture here because this is Athena. Dillinger's escape into the grid at the end and getting the Sark suit, which is from 82, further proof to me that this movie is more of a sequel to the 82 Tron than it is to Legacy. Again, there's impacts of both films on this film, but I feel like it's more of a more tangible connection to the 82 movie. So I know people are disappointed in that. Some people aren't. Some people really like the movie because it does something different that sequels don't typically do. And I think that's cool, because in a sea of unwanted sequels, just so many that just fail to meet the expectations of the films behind it. Think Indiana Jones. Think the Star Wars prequels. Think anything, almost anything, right? Sequels that come that people don't want, that don't need to be made, that especially ones that ended so well. And I could put Legacy in that. Legacy ended so well, it ended so perfectly. There wasn't really a need for a new Tron movie, but when one got announced, I was skeptical because Legacy was such a perfect ending. I felt to the franchise. I thought it was just, why ruin it? Why try to do something after such a great ending? And Ares answers that by saying, we're not going to do Legacy again. We're not going to try and do that. We're going to do something new and different. And it actually paid off. I think it actually paid off. This movie will be a beloved classic, I think, in the future. Right now, it's getting the usual people in the review space. They're calling it woke for having an Asian woman and a black woman in the movie. I'm sorry, I'm doing a Trump impression. You got some people that are saying that those people are stupid. This movie is not woke at all. Like, there's nothing at all. There's not even a gay character in here. There's not a lesbian character. There's not a trans character. There's absolutely nothing in this movie that has anything to do with the LGBT or any kind of far left political messaging or far right political messaging. There's no messaging in this that's political. The message is AI is dangerous and you should stop using it. Anyway, the the movie is great. The movie is great. It has no issues like many modern movies, many modern sequels have, where they try to interject the politics of today into the franchises of yesterday, and it doesn't work. And this does not do that, right? This is a much more natural feeling sequel to it. My eyes. The only thing I really have to say else about this movie, as far as critiques go, I still don't like Seth. After watching this movie again, I realized that Seth does need to be there because he needs to be the one to bring the equipment from Alaska to the office, at the NCOM office. He needs to do that because Eve could not possibly bring all that equipment herself down from Alaska, from the mountains of Alaska, to the airport, and then from the airport to somewhere else. Like, she could not possibly do that. She needed to have a character with her, and Seth happens to be that character. She's very much goal-driven. She's very much more quiet and reserved compared to Seth being very talkative and outgoing. And I see what they're doing with the balance. I see they're trying to make them kind of contrast each other, to make them stand out and everything. I just feel like he quips a little too much. I feel like he's just a little too quippy. It's not egregious, but it is noticeable anytime he's on screen. I'm like, this is the Marvel quip guy. But the only character I think is completely worthless in this entire film is AJ's girlfriend, who takes the cowboy hat off of him on stage. That's the only thing notable that she does. She doesn't play a part in anything. Yeah, she's on the computer with Seth and AJ, but she doesn't actually do anything unique, and it doesn't even show what she's doing really. Not really in detail anyway. It shows the screen, but it doesn't really show what she's doing. So I feel like her character could have potentially been written out. She does allow AJ to have a little more talking points, a little more like back and forth instead of just him talking. It could be him and her talking. But she doesn't actually do anything for the plot of the film other than just be there. So besides that, I feel like everything else was pretty good. The pacing was pretty good throughout it. The action, the visuals were perfect, man. The soundtrack, excellent. And just the plot in general, just overall, I think was just everything that was executed very well. Everything was really fun. As far as the editing goes, the camera work and the editing, excellent as well. There's only one part that on a rewatch I noticed was a little rough, and that's during this final action sequence with the Recognizer, as it's crashing and falling down and landing in the street. it abruptly cuts to Ares and Kevin Flynn in the 80s grid. The music changes abruptly. The scene just cuts to it. It doesn't like fade or anything like that. It feels a little jarring on the second part, and even my dad caught that. He's like, "Oh, I guess it's perfectly calm and peaceful here." And I was like, "Yeah, you know what? That is a rough cut. That is kind of a jump. That feels a little unnatural there." So if anything, that as far as like the actual like the editing of the movie or the presentation of the movie, the visuals, I felt like that was a little rough. But other than that, the transitions between scenes are really good for the most part. The camera work is really good. I mean, there's even just Eve getting out of a car. The camera is not focused on her in the driver's seat. The camera is focused on her reflection in the mirror. And then when she opens the door, the camera is positioned on the door so that the camera moves with the door and then closes with it too. And there's tons of shots like that. Tons of unique shots that instead of just showing like head on or above or from the side, they're doing things like they're showing like from the perspective of the vehicle or the perspective of the door or from the reflection of the side of the building as the two motorcycles are racing beside each other. Like it's such a good directed movie. It's such a well directed movie. It is a beautiful film, and it is, even on the second watch, I was just blown away just watching the visuals of this. I hold this up just as much as Tron Legacy as far as visuals and soundtrack goes. I love both of them. They're excellent. Nostalgia blinds me from saying anything other than Legacy is my favorite film, just because it has so many hype moments, so much just foundational moments to my teenage years growing up that this movie had, and it was so hype watching it back then and still watching it today. Such an awesome movie. And this is also an awesome movie. You know, I'm gonna keep saying this about this movie too. It's I think Tron right now, to be honest, counting the movies and Legacy, Tron to me I think is in higher standing personally to me than Star Wars is at this point. I hold Star Wars to a lower degree than Tron, because Tron I think has every single time they make a movie, it might be misunderstood, it might be critiqued poorly by actual like film critics and stuff, and it might not even do well at the box office. But these movies are excellent. These movies are amazing, and you should watch this movie. That's all I'm gonna say. One more thing. People were saying, and I was thinking this too, that if things that come out of the grid that are originally in the grid dissolve after 29 minutes, Clue's invasion would have been the shortest invasion ever. That's really funny to think about. But I don't think that's the case, because Cora leaves the grid, obviously doesn't dissolve, and I think it's because she's got Flynn's disc on her back as she's getting beamed out. I think if Clue kept Flynn's disc and was able to hold on to it while he's going through the portal with all of his ships and soldiers, I don't think they would have dissolved, because the permanence code clearly is with Kevin Flynn. And I think that makes sense for like it doesn't undo the stakes of Legacy. It doesn't undo that at all. I think they still would have been stable and solid for more than 29 minutes in Legacy if they managed to get through, because Cora did. But that's pretty much all I got to say about that. It would be funny to think about, like, Clue's like, out here is our destiny. And then, like, as he's starting to win and starting to destroy a city and stuff, like, all the ships start falling apart. And he just looks at himself and is like, this isn't biodigital jazz, man. Which, by the way, that effect looks really good. But anyway, I'm gonna stop geeking out. I'm gonna stop tweaking about Tron and call it a video. So thanks so much for watching. More comic stuff coming soon. Check it out. Late November is when Volume 5 is going to drop. Hold me accountable to that. If I don't do it, hold me accountable to it. I always say that. So stay tuned for that. Look forward to it. And thanks so much for watching this video. Go watch Tron Ares.